Hello everyone. Let's welcome again into the one of the important topic of the JWT. So JWT is basically is a JSON web token. So जब भी हम अपनी कोई भी एप्लीकेशन बनाते हैं तो इसमें सबसे पहले हम सिक्योरिटी के ऊपर मेन कंसर्न होता है कि हम किस तरह से अपनी ऐप को, अपनी वेबसाइट को और अपनी एपीआई को सिक्योर कर सकते हैं. So now for this one, we are going to use the JWT token. So this is very easy and the way to implement in any of the application, and very small code we need to write to implement this one. So let's start for this one. So coming on to the agenda sides, we will try to cover here is a basic understanding of JWT, workflow, structure, create a small application into the .NET Core, and API testing with the Postman. So the introduction side, you can read this definition here, but in the layman term, the JSON, like whenever any of the communication happen between the two like client and the server side, then there is a one JSON object is taken care the main responsibility. और हम इस JSON token के अंदर हम कुछ information feed करते हैं based on our needs, और उस information को हम claims बोलते हैं in layman term. और इसी चीज को हम एक बार एक बार इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सट्रैक्ट करने के बाद हम दोबारा उस चीज को सर्वर पे हिट करके सेम चीज को वेरीफाई नहीं करते, बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज टेकन केयर बाय द inside the JSON token. Workflow. So in the workflow, when the request coming from the client side, first they are sending the user ID and the password, and when it is coming onto the server, and when every like user ID and the password is correct, then it is created the JWT with the secret, and this one is the secret key which we are going to encrypt or decrypt with this help of this secret key of that particular token, and we are sending this JWT token to the browser. After that, send the JWT token into the authorization header with any of the other requests, any type of get or post or post, put, post, delete request. Then it is there, we are just checking the signature of this one, like the information whatever we are necessary information is there into no, or not. And when everything is okay and JWT token is authenticated with our logic, so then we are sending the response, corresponding response. Other one is the JWT structure. So the structure wise, if you see here, the this one have the three main portion. The first one is the header, payload, and the verification of the signature. In the header, we are using what type of algorithm? So the algorithm, we have the 50 plus algorithm. So we can use based on our needs. Other one is the type. So type is the JWT. The payload which contain basically our claims and some of the information which is the unique information. So claim, we already aware about like which type of information we are putting into the claim, like any of the demography of the patient and the other thing also, and any of the sensitive data we are not be preferable to send into this token. And if we are, if there is a necessity to send this one, so that should be into the encrypted mode. The other one is the signature. Signature is basically the hash value of header and the payload. Coming on to the JWT structure side, so this one is the one of the one API that is the authentication server, and there is a one token as a service that we are going to hit with this number of parameter, client ID, secret, grant type, based on our need. And when we click onto the send button, then we are getting this response, and here you can see header is represented with the blue lines, and the red one is denoted the payload, and the green one is representing the signature. So this format we are getting our token. And if any of the request which we are sending back, sending to the server, like get, put, post, delete, then into the header tab we have need to select the barrier token, and into this barrier token whatever the token we generated from our API, that we need to put here and click onto the send one, then we will get the response. Practical side. So in this practical side, I switch to the Visual Studio Code, and this application is very straightforward. I have the startup.cs file, and there is a one controller, nothing much here. So before that, I will let you know, like into the dependency you need to install this package, Microsoft ASP.NET Core .authentication.jwt barrier. That can be any of the version, but for the demo purpose I am using 2.20 version. So when you install this one, then you need to go to the startup.cs file. Into the startup.cs file, you need to add this 4 as a namespace. threading, Microsoft Identity Model and all, JWT barrier. After that, we know that the startup file is the main file which we are always be uh, calling or the call every time. And there is again the two method, that is the configuration service and the configuration. And the configuration service is our default method that will always be executed when the application is up and running. So there I written one method, setup of JWT as a service. And here what we written is, this one is our secret key, whatever we are talking about. This keys we basically use for the encryption or encrypt our things or decrypt our things. And this one is the issuer, so it assure for the one particular website. And there we are adding the JWT token as the barrier type. And this one are the option like which we are going to validate, like validate issuer, audience, signature key, and the other thing. And if my token is expire or not valid, then we are sending as a failure of this one, and we are complete our task here. So how to registered or how to use add this one into the service? So we know that we have the service configuration, there we need to call this method first. And after that we need to add the pipeline for this one. To add into the pipeline, what we need to do is we need to add the two line here, app dot use authentication, app authorization. So these are, you can say, this is a small configuration we need to do. Let's jump onto the controller side. In the controller we have the controller API is controller, and there I return one of the method as a token. So this method is basically returning us the token, and in this token you can see here I'm just creating the claim here. So you what you can do is you here you can write your database server code, and there you will get the detail of that particular patient. Like you can receive the user ID password here, and based on that you will get the response. And you can, based on the demography or based on the necessary information, you can put it into the claim. For the claim wise, that should be sweet and shorter form, so that will keep in mind, it should not be the bulky and all. So the other thing here is when we are creating the claim for this one, then this line you can see we are adding the expiration date, when it is going to be expired. So it based on your need, you can make it changes here. And this method is basically creating the JWT token for us and returning the JWT. Yeah, so now we can create like can create our token first. So I already run this application, go to the postman, and in the postman I already returned this one. So this application is running on this port 44395, and I'm hitting this one. You can see we are getting this as a token, and you can see the token as a three part header. This one is the header because before this dot this one is header, and the other one is this highlighted one is the payload, and this small portion is the hash of both the header and the payload. And now what we, there's a one interview question is like, if this token I got it, if I copy this one and switch to the JWT website and paste it here, then I can see the all the information here, like what type of algorithm we are using, what type of information it is carrying as a claim, and the hash value or the signature. So if this one is exposed, so I can change this one and use the things and hit this one. So your answer should be, it not be possible in that way, because there is the concept of cross site request forgery, because whatever the token is generated, so that will work onto the that particular environment. So I created this token only for this postman as a environment, so it will work for this environment only. And if you are using this one, so it will not no more valid, so you need to create this one. And the other question is, someone is smart here and change the some value here, some value into the token, like he can add some claim and regenerate this one. So I will do that experiment also. Go to here, and for this one I return one API, that is a get name. And in the get name, what I can do is I just copy the whole the token here, copy and paste this token here. You can see I'm passing this call in the header, I'm passing this token. And coming on to the API side, there is a two method I return. The first method is a get name, so here it is not authorized one, so no anyone can use this one. And if this one is valid, then it will return the valid, otherwise it will pass the invalid. And there's a other method get name to, which is always be checking with the authorize attribute. So it should be return the result whenever the request is or the user is authorized for this one. So let's jump on to the experiment. So I pass this one, and here I will go this one. So I just remove the debugger from here, hit this one, and you can see we are getting the valid. And the question here is someone change the token. I change the small e to the capital E and send this one. You can see you are getting the invalid, and status is 200. Okay, because it is not be authorized keyword on top of this one. Now coming on to the same example onto the get name to. What we are doing here is get name to and hit the enter. Now you can see there is a status is 401 unauthorized. And now to make it authorized, so I just correct this token and click on send. Now you can see I'm getting this data as a name something. So these are the way to authenticate this. So the thing here is the cross site request forgery things. You need to read it out. I already created one video on top of that, so you just go through that one and get the good knowledge about this one. So coming on to this one, ppt side, summary side, JSON is popular because it is very simple. No need to get the user id password to authenticate again and again. It is not encrypted but rather than encoded. Like everything, like if we are sending any of the confidential data, that should be into the encrypted mode into the token. Size of payload should be small. Key only required claim with the small name. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening this one. I hope you enjoy this session and got some of the good knowledge about the JWT. So whenever anyone asks you about the JWT, please give this example and give this knowledge. So he will be definitely impressed with this things. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening this one. Let's meet again into the another video. Thank you so much. Bye.